What's been up? What's been up, Doc?
Oh, good. I'm doing good. How was your week, Doc?
It wasn't bad at all.
Okay, nice.
Everybody fast.
Yep.
That's the way I like it.
Oh, no doubt. Actually,
Somebody rushed to get in.
Okay.
enjoy ourselves, man. That's yes, sir. Yes, sir. You had a good week and everything, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all, man. Like I said, it went by fast, you know, so can't ask for anything better than that, you know. So, you know how working go.
Yeah.
So, sometimes it goes by slow, and like, man, what's going on here? Everything was smooth. You know, crazy stuff happening on the job.
Right. Good. Y'all with me, man.
Hey, shalom, everybody. We'll be getting started soon. Just getting stuff together. What's up, Tony? You check with your mom before you do anything, okay?
No, stay here.
Hey, shalom to everybody coming in. Sister Vicky. Hey, what's going on, Shannon? What's up, Devere? Since y'all family, I'll give y'all a stroll around. Why did you stop talking? Hey, natural. Why don't you stop talking? Okay, well. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. It's going to be a long lesson. It's going to be long. Hey everybody, just to let you all know, you might want to get you some coffee, you might want to get something's going to help keep you awake, because this is probably going to be a long lesson for today. So you know I normally try not to run long, but I may not be able to help it today. So just, I know some of y'all going to be snoozing and taking a nap probably.
This time will be no different. This was higher, higher goals. Everybody working. The woman said, "Oh, you should." When she was working, she said, "You should take a picture of your position." And the first thing in my mind was like, "You are not doing that. That's not for yourself."
Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and get started, because we're going to probably be here for a minute. Welcome you all who are on Facebook. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started. We praise the Most High that He's allowing us to meet at a place to be able to worship. So I just want y'all to know up front, this is as few people as you're ever going to see. All right? This is as few people as you ever going to see. That's right. Time to get out there in that community. Yes, ma'am. Oh, you can?
Hey, I can take some runs online. I can take some runs for us.
Yeah, go ahead. Close. Close. Oh, yeah.
They look like they're gonna start a party later.
Yeah, they're having one over there. So people are going to be coming. They may be coming through the back, but they're still coming through the front door. Worship the Most High on this great Shabbat day, and we definitely give thanks to Him for allowing us to be able to meet together and to be able to assemble together again for the first time. Well, not the first time, but be able to do it consistently for the first time in about a year. So we're grateful to the Most High that He's done that, and looking so forward to seeing what the Most High is going to do here in Madisonville and also throughout the country. So we know that even with the YouTube videos and everything that's being put up by the assembly, that people around the country and the world are actually looking at those videos. So we praise the Most High. It's not just Madisonville that it does affect, but it's a global thing, and people are learning. So that's what's most important. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's have Brother Eugene read the scripture. Hey, can you pray us in?
Yes, sir.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Our Father, Yahuwah, Elohim, we just give you all the esteem, Father Yah, for this beautiful, gorgeous day, Father, on your set-apart Shabbat, Father. We just thank you, Father, as we humbly come before your throne, Father, as your humble servants, Father. We ask, Father, that you just touch our hearts, Father. Fill our hearts with your set-apart spirit, your Holy Spirit, Father. Fill us, Father, with your word, your ways, your truth, Father. We thank you so much, Father, that you humble our hearts to receive your words with gladness, Father, on your set-apart day, your Sabbath day, the day you set apart, Father, to honor what your will is. Not our will, but your will be done. We ask, Father, that you just ordain and anoint Brother Yoshian, Father, that you just baruch the words that come out of his mouth, Father, that they will be from above, and that the ears and the eyes of those who have ears to hear and eyes to see will receive your words with gladness, Father Yah. We just praise you and give you all esteem. Thank you for what you're about to do. Put your malaks here, Father, that everything will go perfectly, that you'll perfect those things that concern us, Father. Baruch our fellowship, Father. Baruch everything, that everything will go according to your will, Father. We appreciate you. We thank you for the growth, that the fruits of your spirit, your ruach, will show forth and manifest through this ministry, through this assembly, and around all the world for all your covenant sons and daughters, and those who you will call into your truth. Right here in Madisonville, Kentucky, and in other places, that your name, Father, your name will be made great. Hallelujah. All praise and esteem belongs to you, Father Yah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Okay, I'll be reading from the book of Psalms, Psalm 103. Bless Yahweh, O my being, and all that is within me. Bless his set-apart name. Bless Yahweh, O my being, and do not forget all his dealings, who forgives all your crookednesses, who heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from destruction, who crowns you with loving commitment and compassion, who satisfies your desire with the good. Your youth is renewed like the eagles. Yahweh is doing righteousness and right ruling for all the oppressed. He made known his ways to Moshe, his acts to the children of Israel. Yahweh is compassionate and showing favor, patient and great in loving commitment. He does not always strive, nor maintain it forever. He has not done to us according to our sins, nor rewarded us according to our crookednesses. For as the heavens are high above the earth, so great is his loving commitment toward those who fear him. As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us. As a father has compassion for his children, so Yahweh has compassion for those who fear him. For he knows how we are made. He remembers that we are dust. A man's days are like grass. As a flower of the field, so he flourishes. For the wind blows over it, and it is no more, and its place no longer remembers it. But the loving commitment of Yah is from the everlasting to everlasting upon those who fear him, and his righteousness to children's children, to those who guard his covenant, and to those who remember his orders to do them. Yah has established his throne in the heavens, and his reign shall rule over all. Bless Yahweh, you his messengers, mighty in power, who do his word, listening to the voice of his word.
Come on.
Bless Yahweh, all you his hosts.
Hallelujah.
You his servants who do his pleasure. Bless Yahweh, all his works, in all places of his rule. Bless Yahweh, O my being.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Who is like you, O Yah, above the mighty ones? Who is like you, Yah, there is none else. You are awesome in praise, doing wonders, O Yah. Who is like you, O Yah? Who is like you, O Yah, amongst the mighty ones? Who is like you, Yah, there is none else. You are Hallelujah to him. Hallelujah. All right. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody who was online. Just want to say hi to everybody. Brother Tony. Sister Reese, good to see you. Sister Vicky, Brother DeVere, Sister Shannon. I know I already said shalom to most of y'all earlier, but still wanted to say shalom to you again. Welcome to the, that's kind of wild thinking one day my dad, well, it used to be my dad actually sat in one of these rooms. But very grateful that we are here. Very grateful that the Most High has given us the opportunity to have a place to meet together, a place where we can actually meet and join in helping our community. So it's time to come out from the four walls. It's time to get to the business. I think we've all been in our homes and within the four walls long enough, but I think that it's time now that the Most High is able to really use us for what our purpose is, and that is to get out onto the streets, which is what we're going to do. That is the plan. So many of you I know are going to probably be listening to this later on. I just want to make sure that we hold the Most High in esteem, and everything that we do, every aspect of our lives, it does us no good to come or to have the Sabbath and be righteous and holy on the Sabbath and not be righteous and holy throughout the week. It serves no purpose. So I want to call all Israel to return back to the Most High. Return back to him because we need him. And if there's been any time that we've ever needed him, it's definitely now. So today I want to do a lesson. Listen, the only reason why I'm sitting up here is because it's just easier to communicate with people, okay? Brother Eric and myself, we are not the kinds that want to be put up on pedestals and be put up high before the people. That is not what this is about. It's just easier for those of us who are online and for those who are listening to the lesson. It's easier for us to have dialogue this way versus sitting side by side trying to do the lesson. So please, we don't call this a pulpit. We don't call this, we just call this being with the people and being able to talk with the people. And I know most of you all know us. You know that we're not like that at all. We look for no titles. We look for none of that stuff. So Most High be esteemed. Let the person not on the microphone be esteemed, but let the one who is the head of Israel be esteemed. So I first want to make sure I turn over any of that. If anybody thinks that we have authority to do anything, we give all that authority to the Most High. And we want to esteem him and him alone. So today's message is going to be called, For His Name's Sake, He Will Deliver Us. For His name's sake, He will deliver us. Now, we could have done a lot of different lessons, but since this is our first day in a building that we are going to be able to use as often and as much, it's basically our room that we're going to be using. I just felt like there needed to be I don't want to say christening, but a lesson to open it up, and especially to open it up for our people who are going to be coming and who are going to be visiting. When Yah begins to even move his spirit even more upon his people, there will be a place for us to be able to gather and to worship together. So this message will be somewhat difficult for those who have a Eurocentric theology of the Bible. This is going to be a very difficult lesson for those. And I know that there are going to be some who will be watching later. I'm just letting you know up front. If you view the Bible from a Eurocentric type of thinking, from a Eurocentric doctrine, you will have an issue. Not with me. You won't have an issue with us. You're going to have an issue with the Most High. Okay? Because this is where his word is going to be coming from. In a Eurocentric theology, which is what we have been taught growing up, and we've grown up in it and lived our life by it. it is hard to comprehend that there is a people in the Bible who still need deliverance. And I emphasize that word, still need deliverance. If you don't think that we are people who do not need deliverance, then you have not watched the news this week. If you don't think that we are a people who do not need deliverance, then you have not watched the news last week. We are still a people who need deliverance. And I don't know why we think that things are going to change. It's going to remain the same. But the Bible does give us clear information of how things can change. But for as long as we as a people keep our heads turned and we go after those idols that Eurocentric Christianity has given us, as long as we go after the idol of houses, as long as we go after the idol of cars, as long as we go after the idol of nice jobs with nice pay, and we use those things as our idol, as our support, as our belief upon, then we will never get it. We will remain, things will remain the same. Ain't nothing gonna change. So, we have allowed the world to dictate how we are to see the Bible, how to understand the Bible, and to believe that Israel is no more and now it is everyone else's. Yeah, if you have a Eurocentric type thought of the Bible, you are going to struggle with this lesson. We are aware that the Most High has opened up the door for Gentiles to come in to the truth. But what has happened is the door was open to the Gentiles and they took it and they ran with it and they made it their own. No longer the people who the covenant was given to. Now a group of people have taken it. They have whitewashed every painting. They have whitewashed all of the doctrine to make it be about them. But when you look at the first book, starting with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and you look at the last book of Revelation, it begins with Israel and it ends with Israel. You can't get away from it. You'll never get away from it. To the contrary, when we correctly read the Bible from its proper understanding, we see that the Most High chose a people to carry his name. That's why you look at the prophets, Eliyahu, Yeshayahu, Yirmiyahu. All of these prophets carried the name of the Most High up on them. Now, because it switched over into Eurocentric doctrine, it's Ayah. Instead of Yah or Yahoo, now we use the English language and it's Ayah. We see that the Most High chose a people to carry his name. These people was given a condition. These people was given a condition to obey me, and I will give you the good of the land. And you will be fruitful, is what he says. But disobey me, and you will be cursed more than any people. Did you hear that? If you disobey him, you'll be cursed more than any people. And I dare say the things that are taking place in the news has to do with prophecy. And it's going to continue, my brothers and my sisters, until we get it right. Until we turn back and call upon the name of the Most High, Abba Yahuwah, and his son, Yahusha. Until we turn back to him, we're going to receive more of the same. These people failed to obey. That's your forefathers. My forefathers failed to obey. They failed to love Master Yahuwah with all their heart, with all their soul, with all their mind, and with all their strength. Numerous times Yahuwah had to kick them out of the land for their disobedience. And he brought them back only for them to disobey and be kicked out again. So Master Yahuwah sent them a savior from amongst their own people of the tribe of Yehudah. And this is for those of us who have been in the Eurocentric way of thinking all of our lives. It's going to sound so foundational to those who have been in the truth for a while, but this is for those who we are outreaching to pull back to our heritage, to pull back to our ancestry, which failed the Most High, to pull back to the Most High's statutes and his commands that he has given to us. That's what this is about. So don't fall asleep, okay? Because maybe you're wearied in hearing the struggle. No, this is for those who will be coming, who will be searching for the truth. So Master Yahuwah sent them a savior from amongst their own people of the tribe of Yehudah to save them from their sins. But this people had a stiff neck, a hard-headed people who would not accept their Messiah. And because of that, they were kicked out and scattered around the world because of their kicking out the Gentiles or the nations. We were kicked out to these places, scattered out to them. The nations were able to come in. Because of their casting off, the Gentiles was able to receive the salvation that was once granted to Israel. So, Mr. European, I hate to tell you this. I know what you've probably been taught, and I also know what you've been teaching. This that you have received, you received it because our forefathers failed. That's why you got it. But since you've gotten it, you've somehow taken over it, and you've taken the people that it was given to originally, and you've pushed them to the side. So they don't mean anything anymore. It doesn't matter about them. Your Pope says the same thing. He allowed people to be taken into slavery. He allowed the children of Israel, our people, to be taken into slavery, to be pushed aside. And now the Bible has been turned and it is read in a view in which you see the Bible, in which you are able to make control and to have control over the people and also over the world. But because the Most High is awakening his people, we are waking up to understand that who we are as a people. And for my brothers and sisters who are coming into the truth, who will be viewing this later, it is you whom he is calling back. After being sent to the land of their enemy, Israel would be humbled, killed, put in slavery, raped, and consistently treated as less than, while there she will be a byword and a mockery before all. Look around today. Who is your mockery? It's the black folk. Who's your byword? Who has more names than any other race of people? I won't even go into them. We've got so many names that they call us. With his great compassion, though, the turmoil of Israel, they will again cry out to their Father, and for his name's sake, He will deliver them from all the nations where they have been scattered. I'm talking Bible. I'm talking scripture. I grew up in church all my life and nobody ever told me. My fault that I didn't read it. I had access to this book like everybody else does. My fault that I didn't read it. My fault that I let somebody else tell me about the Bible and how I was to understand it. My fault. I have to take ownership of it. So people today, it's your fault. You have to take ownership of reading that book and stop allowing somebody else to tell you what that book says. So with great compassion, through the turmoil of Israel, they will again cry out to their Father for his name's sake. He will deliver them from all nations where they have been scattered. There will be an exodus from all over the world, so great that the exodus of Moses will not be remembered. You remember the children of Israel that came out of Egypt? They won't even remember that anymore because the exodus will be so great. Yahuwah will send their Messiah on behalf of him to deliver them. There will be a great number of people who come out with them because of the fear of Elohim Yahuwah. They will dwell once again in their own land and not be afraid anymore. Look, let's be honest. This ain't our land. I know that our forefathers were bought here. I know we were born here. I know we were raised here, but this is not our land. Clearly it's not our land because of the way that we're treated as a people. It's not ours. It's theirs. Actually, it was the Native Americans first, and then people came over, the Europeans came over and took the land from them, and then they went and got us and brought us over here. So this by no means is not our land. We are sojourners in this place. We better get that right. We are sojourners waiting for deliverance of our master to come and pick us up in the greater Exodus. If you read the Bible from a Euro-Gentile perspective, it will not be about Israel. It will be about them, and they will remain on top. For as long as you read the Bible that way, it's going to be about Eurocentric Gentiles, because that's just the way that it's taught. And that is reality. There's nothing wrong with speaking the truth about where we are today and what is being taught today in religion using this book. That is why they keep us, or they kept us, only on the back section of the book. Because if you just pay attention to the back section of the book, you can run a monopoly of thought on the people. You can keep the people from understanding who they are if you subjugate them to the back of the book. That is why in slavery, they did not want the slaves to be able to learn how to read and learn how to read the whole book, because they would understand and they would relate to the people who was in bondage in the book. And they would say, hey, these people were delivered. Hey, as a matter of fact, these people sound like us. This sounds like our forefathers. Hey, y'all, there's going to be a deliverer who's going to come. And they didn't want people rising up because they knew that a deliverer was coming. So how do you keep people not in the know? You keep them in ignorance, and you keep them out of their history. African American people, this book, out of all the books in the earth, this book is your history book. And if you only read the end of it, you won't understand your history at all. So it is going to be very important that you take the book and pick the book up yourself and read the book. It's in the book. All you have to do is look. It's there. Your history, your forefathers, what we did wrong, and what we got to do to right it. So as long as people can keep us from that and keep us off on some other tangent, keep us off on some other message, things are going to remain the same. It will be about them, and they will remain on top. That is why slaves were not allowed to read the Bible, because if they could, they would realize those people in the Bible was them and would have an expectation of deliverance. So let's search the word and find out if what is being said is true. As a matter of fact, we're going to start off in the second part of the book that Eurocentric Gentile theology has taught us a separation, the first part of the book and the second part of the book. So we're going to start off in the second part of the book, and we're going to see what the Messiah says. Let's go to Luke chapter 21, and we're going to read verse 24. Luke 21 and verse 24. And if anybody wants to read, if you can read loudly, that would be good.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the other nations until the times of the other nations be fulfilled.
Isn't it amazing that the Messiah knew? He already knew what was going on. He knew the book. He knew the history. Number one, he knew the history of his people. And he knew what his father told the people. He knew it. He knew what was going to take place. He knew that the people were going to turn against him. And he also knew that the people, the children of Israel, was going to be kicked out of the land. Matter of fact, he even goes further and tells them there won't be one stone left upon another. So he knew. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword. You know, the sword back then was the tool that was used in fighting. What tool is used today primarily in fighting? Guns. Are we still falling by the sword today? You better believe we are. And we are even falling by the sword by those who actually are supposed to be keeping the law. The people who are supposed to be bringing security to the people are actually the ones using the sword to kill people. We still dying by the sword today. The Gentiles are in control. It's meant to be that way because of what our forefathers did. The Gentiles are in control today. He says, until the times of the nations are filled, or the Gentiles are filled. So there is a time period that the Most High has given the Gentiles, the nations. There's a time period that he's given them, and there's a time period in which it's going to come to an end. Their leadership. Okay, and I believe that we're almost at that point where until the times of the nations are filled. Whatever it is that is supposed to be done during that time, it is being done right now as things are wrapping up. So Yahusha knew we would be led captive. He already knew that his brothers and sisters was going to be taken. He already knew that they were going to be scattered throughout the land. This one scripture right here speaks of the whole of Torah. You have the obedience to disobedience to dispersion. Brought back obedience to disobedience to dispersion. Brought back, and for the final thing, he knew it. Obedience, disobedience, did not believe in Messiah, did not want to even call upon his name, betrayed him, and after that, the Father dispersed us. Haven't been back in the land since that time happened. Since that took place, we have not been back as a people to that land. But the dispersion or the diaspora is about over. He knew that we would be the last reason Israel would be kicked out. Why did he focus so much on Israel? When he came, he says, I've only come for the lost sheep of Israel, the lost house of Israel. Why was Messiah saying that? But why is it today that when you see the world's churches, they speak nothing of it? Why isn't today the people who took over the book, why isn't today they're not only reaching out to the Gentiles, but they're saying, hey, we're going to go and find these people. It's clearly written of who these people are. The curses are going to be upon them. Let's go find them and bring them back to their mighty one. No, that's not what's done in the churches today. What's done in the churches today is it's all about them. Even though you read in the book of Revelations that the gates are named after the 12 tribes of Israel. Even though you read in the book of Revelation that the dragon is going to come after the woman, which is Israel. Even though we read those things, Israel's done away with. Why isn't religion today, if they are of the Most High, why aren't they seeking to save the lost of his fallen people and also those outside? He knew what had to lead up to this point. You know, we wasn't a special people. There ain't nothing that we did that made y'all go, hey, look at those folks. Man, I think I'm going to choose those people right there. Not one thing. It ain't because we were the most beautiful people. As a matter of fact, let's read what he says. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7. Deuteronomy chapter 7, let's look at verse 6 through 10. For you are a set-apart people to Yahuwah your Elohim. Yahuwah your Elohim has chosen you to be a people for himself. Did it say a people for the world? For a people for himself, a treasured possession above all the peoples on the face of the earth. Above all the peoples on the face of the earth. Where we at? We on the bottom. Come on, y'all. Let's be real. The Hispanics are looked more highly upon than us today. Yahuwah did not set his love on you nor choose you because you were more numerous than any other people. For you were the least of all peoples. The Most High didn't choose us because we were some great people. He just told us we was the least. We were nothing. And because we were nothing, he chose to choose us. Yes. But because of Yahuwah's loving you, and because of him guarding the oath which he swore to your fathers, Yahuwah has brought you out with a strong hand and ransomed you from the house of bondage, from the hand of Pharaoh, sovereign of Egypt. And you shall know that Yahuwah your Elohim, he is Elohim, the trustworthy all, guarding covenant and loving commitment for 1,000 generations with those who love him and those who guard his commands. Listen, this is why you're going to find some of us where we at today. But repaying those who hate him to their face, to destroy them. He does not delay to do so with him who hates him. He repays him to his face. Now listen, you can say, oh, but our forefathers didn't hate him. Yes, they did. If they chose to worship other mighty ones in his face, right. That is a hate.
That's right. Facts.
Our forefathers went to every holy mountain or every high mountain and worshiped other deities on it. and time again. And today, if you look at what's going on today, we ain't doing nothing no different. Today, we walk around with crosses, the tool that killed the Messiah. We walk around with them on our necks. We put them on our ears for our earrings. We've got them in our homes. We set them up in our churches. We are committing idolatry to a tool that killed our Messiah. But religion today, carry your cross.
Right.
Religion today, have a cross in your house. Religion today says, I'm going to kick the demon out with the cross on his head. That tool is nothing. But yet we've made an idol of it. And you can walk almost up in any church you want to walk up into, and you're going to find one. Now, let's be real. Let's stop playing with the Most High. Let's go back and read what he says, what's important to him, and stop looking at what these heathen nations have done with their idols. And today, we do the same thing. You can walk around this town and see Marys in people's yards. That's the worship of Mary. That's an idol sitting in these yards. Pick them up and throw them in the trash. We got pictures. We got figurines of Jesus. This white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus. I've yet to see a figurine of any of them that's got a big nose, big lips, and big cheeks, and nappy hair. They all have the same looking principal foundation of them. Caesar. That's an idol before the Most High. But repaying those who hate him to their face. We're hating him to his face when we keep idols like that. To destroy them. We are a destroyed people. We have no heritage. We have no home. We have no culture. Everything has been stripped from us. He does not delay to do so with him who hates him. He repays him to his face. And truly today we have been repaid. We are nobody special anymore. Because of our forefathers' sin and because of our sin. This is why we are in the cut where we at right now. This is why we look on the news. And every day you're finding some little black boy, some male, some female who has been killed. Every day you look and something else is going on. Got a murder trial of one going on. Police officer had his knee on the neck. And then during the murder trial, you got another black male that's been killed in the same city. You have in the same week you got another black male who's in a car. He gets pulled over and they spray him. He's a lieutenant in the military. They don't respect you. You think you get some respect by the uniform that you're wearing, but when you're wearing it, it doesn't matter. That uniform only works for them. I'm not trying to sound racist. I'm talking about what is going on in the world. We got to talk truth. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's right. Speak it
You
out.
don't call me racist because I'm not racist. This is what's going on.
Sir.
And it was said in the scripture that these things will take place.
Going to take place.
That's right.
We gonna hit some of it. So, listen, he gave us a choice. For those of you who are listening, he gave us a choice. Whether we would be the people on top, or whether we would be the people on the bottom. So what did our forefathers do? Do you know what your forefathers did? I'm sure most of y'all in here know what your forefathers did because we talk about it all the time. But what about you who are listening for the first time? What about you who are joining in and listening? Do you know what your forefathers did? Do you know what your forefathers didn't do? Let's take a look. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28. We're not going to read all of Deuteronomy 28. We're going to read parts of it. But there should be an expectation that you go back and read Deuteronomy 28. And you tell me who you see in there. Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 15. We'll let somebody read that.
And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yah thy Elohim, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Most High thy Elohim will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
He's going to set you where? On high. As a nation of people, he was going to set us higher than any other nation on the face of this earth. Where are we today? Go ahead, Art.
And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah the Elohim. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Most High shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways. Yahweh shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses, and in all that thou settest thine hand unto. And he shall bless thee in the land which Yah thy Elohim giveth thee. The Most High shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, as he hath sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of Yah thy Elohim, and walk in his ways. And all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of Yah, and they shall be afraid of thee.
Hold up right there. When one of our brothers or one of our young people is mowed down out in the street, what is the first thing that is said?
I was afraid.
I was afraid. I feared for my life. That's a different kind of afraid than the afraid that the scripture is talking about. And all peoples of the earth shall see that the name of Yah is called upon you, and they shall be afraid of you. Meaning they're not going to even fool with you. They're going to be so scared, they're not going to have anything to do with you because they know whose you are. Today, they're afraid of us, not for righteousness' sake. They're afraid of us, so they say, because we're so wicked. That's basically what they're saying. They were afraid that we're going to take their life. So since they were afraid, they shoot us. But if we were to do things the way the Most High calls us to do it, they would be afraid of us because they would know that his name is on us and they wouldn't dare touch us. Who are the people at the bottom of the barrel? Who are those people who did not keep the covenant? Who are those people who turned their back on the Most High? It was your forefathers, my forefathers, and today we bear the guilt of it. Don't nobody bear that guilt but us. Go ahead, Al.
And the Most High shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, in the land which Yah sware unto thy fathers to give thee. The Most High shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow.
What nation we lending to? Come on now. Black folk spend, what is it? How many? Is it $16 trillion? We spend all this money and we can't see none of it in our communities. And if you do see any of it in your communities, what happens to your community? It gets bombed. It gets burned down. Black folk can't have no big communities like that. You can't have no something that rivals Wall Street in this country. It wasn't meant for you to. Not going to happen. Go ahead, brother.
And the Most High shall make thee the head and not the tail. And thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. If that thou hearken unto the commandments of Yah, thy Elohim, which I command thee this day.
If. See, this was supposed to be our mothers and our fathers. They were supposed to be the ones that everybody in the world looked up to. We were supposed to be the descendants that the world looked up to because we carried the name of Yah on us. We were the righteous people of the earth. We were supposed to have it all. Forget about those kingdoms on Lord of the Rings. You saw those big kingdoms on the side of the mountain. We had so much more than that. And because our forefathers did not want to do what they were supposed to do, they went whoring after other deities. They went whoring after other women. They went whoring because they disobeyed. And finally, they turned their back on the Messiah. This is what we have been delivered to today. A life of trying to figure out from month to month how you're going to make it. Had we been in our land, we wouldn't even have had to pay taxes like that. We would have been in homes that were not ours, that was left for us to take. We would have had food. We wouldn't have to go to a grocery store to buy food unless we're dealing with our brothers and sisters on our block. We didn't have to worry about none of that stuff. Today, we have to get on food stamps. We have to get on some kind of substance to help us to make it through from month to month. He never meant us to be in that position. But because of the sin of our forefathers and because of the sin that we continue to do today that is no different from what our forefathers did, we still doing the same doggone thing. And we are receiving more of the same. Wake up. At some point, you got to get sick of it. And you got to find out, why do I keep going through this? What medicine, what pill do I have to take to get rid of this? Because it's a pain. Let's keep going. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 14. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah the Elohim, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
You know what? We don't even have time to go through all the curses, but you will find that each one of them speaks of exactly what we are going through today. If you read in this book called The Valley of Dry Bones, I don't know if any of y'all have seen this book before. The author, who actually wrote another book prior to this, From Babylon to Timbuktu, he is a doctor. Now, I know for some of us, when we say something, it don't mean and have much effect to it because, well, he's just a black guy that wrote a book. And I understand that we've had to thinking of, if it comes from them, somebody who has a different complexion of skin than us, then it must mean that it is the truth. But this man has a doctor's degree just like they have a doctor's degree. This man studied history just like they studied history. And we have a hard time trusting a book that is written by a black man. if you would drop your self-prejudice down, if you would drop all of the things that you've been taught about we can't trust our people, if you'll get rid of that for a minute and take a look at some people who had a motive to go look at their history. You see, a lot of people have a motive to go look at history because they want to disprove something. Go to somebody who has a motive to find out who they are and where they come from. So anyway, he says in his preface, I'm only going to read this little piece. For many years, I have analyzed and reflected on the profound problems of black people in America and the problems of mankind in general. I believe that there are definitive reasons for the plight of black people. I maintain that the suffering of the black people did not happen by accident. Oh, y'all sons of Ham, y'all curse. That's a lie. But are the direct results of violations of universal divine laws. Did you hear what this guy just said? Let me read that again. I maintain that the sufferings of the black people did not happen by accident. You just wasn't born this way. But are the direct results of the violations of universal divine laws. And until black people study and correct these violations, then and only then can we extricate ourselves from the cesspool of social destruction. And truly, that's what we are in. He that does not learn from his mistakes is doomed to repeat them. Is that not what our forefathers have done from the time they were kicked out of the land into Assyria and the northern tribes? Y'all didn't even let them come back. He got rid of them and he brought other people in to take their place. He didn't even let the top tribes come back. And then Yehuda, what's he do? He disobeys the Most High. He worships other mighty ones. And what does Yah do? He sends them to Babylon. He brings them back. He at least lets them come back. They come back, they get it wrong again. Forgot the Messiah, and he sends them away even further than the previous, which is why we're here. So, go read books like these. He will explain to you. Listen, many of you are going to say, yeah, but that's the Old Testament. It was only taught. Listen, he will explain to you what the duality and the triplicity of prophecy and script, meaning it can happen then, and it can happen then, and boom, speaking of today as well. But when you look at it from a Euro-Gentile doctrine, it happened then, and that's done and gone away. We won't do that no more. That happened way back then. It ain't got no use for today. That's why they kept us from reading certain scripture. Okay, let's keep going. He's displeased. He is angry. As a people, we have been cursed. I'll say it again. We have been cursed as a people. Now, individually, if you're one of them selfish type that thinks only about yourself, well, hey, Josiah, man, I got my big house. I got my nice car, man. What you talking about? I ain't cursed. I got my ride. I got my whip, boy, and I can make it pop. But look at your people as a nation. Go to Cincinnati, Ohio, and go downtown to Over the Rhine and tell me what you think about our people, if we are cursed people or if we are blessed people. Go to Louisville, Kentucky. Go down in the West End. Take a look. Tell me whether we are a blessed people or whether we are a cursed people. It don't matter that there's 100 churches down one street. Ain't nothing changing. Not a one. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Let's look at verse 15 again. And it shall be, if you do not obey the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim to guard to do all his commands and his laws, which I command you today. Hold on, they teach us today we don't have to do none of that stuff. So because we don't have to do none of that stuff today, we remain under the curse. Do you understand? Because they teach us today that we don't have to keep our Abba's commandments, we remain under the curse. And they teach it up in the churches. Hey, come on now. That's real stuff right here that he tells us to live by. But now everything's been done away with and we can do what we want to do. Well, there just ain't no more sin no more. All these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. So let's look at some specifics. We're only going to look at a couple. Verse 45 and 46 of Deuteronomy 28. I wish I had time to do the whole thing, but we just don't.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed. Because thou hearkenest not, unto the voice of Yahuwah thy Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Okay,
who's the seed of these Israelites? Who's the seed? Their seed has got to be somewhere. Somewhere around the world, the seed has got to be there. And the curse of the fathers are going to be on the sons and the daughters. Go to the UK. Hey, I've heard people in the UK talk. They get treated just like we do over here. Go to the Philippines. The dark people get treated just like we do over here. Go to India. Them people out in the bush, they get treated just as bad as we do over here. Go into the slums in India and see what complexion people are there. It don't matter where we go. It don't matter where we've been sent. It's like hell. Oh, you want to talk about a nation that's got their own people? Look at Haiti. What did Haiti do? Haiti rebelled against them folk. Fought back, got their own little country. What is the worst country to live in today in poverty? It ain't here. It's Haiti. So because these people rebelled against them, they once again, I'll use the word castigate, they put them over here and said, you'll never do anything as a country here. We'll take care of Dominican Republic and let it thrive on one side of the island, and we'll let you have the other side of the island, and people won't even want to come visit you. So how are you going to have some wealth on one side of an island, and the people who rebelled and says, we ain't taking your stuff no more, we're going to be our own people, they're poor, but yet they make more sugar than anybody in the world. Look at it. I mean, come on, y'all. Look at the people. I mean, they should have their own nation. They do. But they eat mud. They have to make dirt cakes to eat. And then they have an earthquake. And people raise millions of dollars for them, but it don't get there. They don't see it. And people are still affected today from 4 or 5 years ago. That's what happens with us. We can't get ahead. Yah's not going to let us get ahead. Why? Because we ain't turned back to his laws. We haven't turned back to him. All right, let's move on to the next. Let's look at verse 29. Verse 29. Somebody can read that.
You shall grope about at noon as blind people grope in darkness, but you shall be unable to find your way. And you shall be continually abused and robbed without anyone to help.
I'm going to read it from the scripture versions too. And you shall be groping at noon, and a blind man gropes in darkness, and not prosper. Now, we got basketball players, football players, we got individuals that prosper. But as a nation of people, we don't prosper. Once again, if you shut your eyes and somebody drops you off in any city, if they put you in a black neighborhood and you open your eyes, you not knowing where they're going to drop you off, you'll know every time you wake up in our neighborhoods. Why? Because we don't prosper. As a matter of fact, you take our neighborhood, and especially if you're by a hospital, they'll kick your butt out of the bad area and turn it into a good area. They have no regard for us as a community of people or even as a people. None whatsoever. Anybody got anything before I go on? Let's look at verse 68. Gotta read. We don't read no other verse. You got to read 68. Got to read 68. Listen, my brothers and sisters. We have been lied to. Jeremiah says that they even talk about their fathers have told them lies. This is from the Gentiles. They say their fathers told them lies. We have been lied to by them. And it's time for us to return back to our mighty one, the mighty one of Israel. If you notice, where we grew up, the places of worship, you never heard them say anything, and I'm going to use their term, about we worship the God of Israel. I never heard it. Today in churches, you will not hear them say, we worship the God of Israel. If you can't say you worship the God of Israel, then you are worshiping another God. You are not worshiping Yah. If you are, say it. I want to hear it. We worship the God of Israel. Then I'll start believing you. But you first have to admit it. If you ain't willing to admit you worship and honor the mighty one of Israel, then you are worshiping another one. That's simple. Verse 68, who wants to read that?
And Yahuwah shall bring you into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spoke unto you. You shall see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Listen, if you don't hear of no other curse in the Bible that the Most High put on his people, you better hear that one. Historically, there has never been a nation of people to ever go in bondage by the way of ships. Egypt, synonymous with bondage, slavery. There ain't no other people. The sad part of it today, we so lost, we can't even trace our people back to the ships. Our heritage is just totally gone. We have none. He tells us we're going to lose our inheritance. Look at the European. He can tell you, I came from Germany. I came from France. I came from Spain. I came from Ireland. All of them can tell you where they come from. But why is it that you cannot tell anybody where you are? Some of us have done a little research and know exactly where. But for the most part, most of us, we are clueless. I couldn't tell you the name of one relative that stepped off of a slave ship. I couldn't tell you where the first person of my family who came off a slave ship, I can't tell you what city they stepped off into. Have no idea. Was it Virginia? Was it Alabama? Was it Mississippi? I have no idea. And you don't either. Unless somebody kept some historical information you know nothing about and you go find it. You have no history. We're the only people who don't know where we come from or who we are. That's sad. What is a man who can't go back to his own ancestry? What is a man who don't know who he is? That's heartbreaking. When everybody else can tell you where they derive. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to let people know also that there's been changing so much stuff throughout the years. Now in
Yeah.
the New Translation Bibles, they're actually saying that in here, in verse 20 or 68, it says, Yahuwah will bring back you back in ships to Egypt by a route that is that I promised you will never see again. And there you shall offer yourselves
Yep.
for sale.
Yep.
To your enemies, male and female slaves, but no one will buy you.
Right.
So they're trying to change it up
Yep,
and saying that
yep.
we're offering ourselves
Yeah.
for sale.
Ain't nobody offering
Yeah.
nobody. I ain't gonna offer myself to you to be your slave. No, they changed that. You gotta have to watch how they reword some of these books. So you ain't even gonna have a brother beside you who can buy your way out of bondage. You ain't gonna have a father right there with you coming off the boat who says, I'm gonna buy my son. You don't have a woman who gets off of the boat and she's had a baby on the boat and now her baby is about a month old and she ain't going to be able to say, well, I'm going to buy my baby out of slavery. Y'all can't take my baby away from me. Didn't even have the power to do that. Didn't have it. All right, let's look at number 54. I want to make a point about verse 54. Deuteronomy 28, verse 54. Hold on, I want to say this before I go there, before somebody read that. You notice everybody talks about black on black crime. Why don't anybody talk about white on white crime? Why don't anybody talk about Asian on Asian crime? Why doesn't anybody talk about Hispanic on Hispanic crime? The going tag word is black on black crime. Why are we so significant? Why do they look at us and talk about the crimes that we commit against each other? But guess what? They're right. Why? Because the Bible said it was going to be a curse on us. But go ahead and read that. Verse 54.
So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave.
Now that's deep in and of itself. So a man, a tender, delicate young man, he's going to have an evil eye towards his brother. You'd never think this brother would have an evil eye because he's nice, he's polite, and then something goes wrong and he winds up killing a brother. Black on black crime is something that is predicted in the Bible. He told us that we're going to have an evil eye towards our brother, meaning we are not going to get along, even our own physical brothers. We are not going to get along with our brothers. So when you see young men out in the street fighting, where they got gangs going, you see us killing each other. It's a curse. It's a curse. Do you hear anybody talking about the Hispanic gangs going around killing each other? Have you heard anybody talk about the Italian gangs going around killing each other? They still exist. No, you hear about us. We are the headlines of every killing going on. Why? Because it's black on black crime. It just amazes me how the Bible says something and then we can look back in reality and here we are. Nobody's saying nothing about black on black crime. I wish a leader would stand up one day and say, oh, it's prophesied. It was prophesied that we're going to be killing each other. That's why y'all focusing on it, because it's in the Bible that we were going to kill each other. Ain't nobody doing that. Not one black leader in this daggone forsaken country we live in is going to stand up and tell our people the truth. We're just going to leave them out there just to be like, oh, that's just what happens. That's the way of life. No, it's Bible. And the problem is our black leaders, our black teachers ain't teaching our people. You teaching them what they want you to teach them. Let's keep going. I got so much. So basically, what has happened because of our sin, because of our forefathers' sin, is we've been scattered. For those of you who didn't know, we disobeyed. We didn't do what we were supposed to do. He told us we'd be the head. We wind up being the tail. Y'all got sick of us, basically. I just want to put it in some frank words. He got sick of us, and he said, to heck with y'all.
Absolutely.
That's what he did. Let me prove my point. Let's go to Jeremiah 18, verse 17. Jeremiah chapter 18, verse 17. I shall scatter them as with an east wind before the enemy. I shall show them the back and not the face in the day of their calamity. I can see it now. When they came in, the Assyrians came in and took our forefathers off from the north. Yah turned his back on them. The day that Yah sent the children of Yehudah into Babylon, Yah turned his back on them. The day that Yah kicked them out of the land because they failed to believe in Messiah, Yah turned his back on them. The day that our butts got taken and put on a slave ship because of the Catholic Pope who ordered it, when we got put on those ships, Yah turned his back on us. When we were bought over into this country and they was lynching us and killing us and still doing it, Yah turned his back on us. Just like this. Baby just got killed. Got 5 men hanging from a tree for a crime they didn't commit. Nope. They ain't turning around looking at him. That's what he's done. His back is turned. There's something that we got to do to get him to turn his back away from us and start showing us his face. Let's keep going. Got another one for you. Ezekiel 36:19. Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 19. Whoever find it first, go ahead.
Verse 19.
Verse 19.
And I scattered them among the Gentiles, and they were dispersed throughout the lands. I have judged them according to their ways and their deeds.
So here we go. Ezekiel, he's letting us know we were scattered. We've been scattered throughout the land. As a matter of fact, we've been taken across oceans. From the farthest end of the world, he has done it to us. Zechariah chapter 2, verse 6. Zechariah chapter 2, verse 6. Oh, and flee from the land of the north, declares Yahuwah. For I have scattered you like the 4 winds of the heavens, declares Yahuwah. Yah has basically took us like a grain of wheat in his hand, a whole bag of it, and he's went, just slung it all over the place. You might be in Jamaica today. You might be in South America today. You might be in China today. Because we went there too. Believe it or not, there are black Chinese. They up in the mountains up there worshiping something. We lost our minds, y'all. And we do exactly what our forefathers did. That's why I come against that. If it's good enough for my grandmama, it's good enough for me. No, it ain't. We need to come out from under that saying. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Can you read another scripture as
Yeah.
well to go along with what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a Psalm 44 in there?
Psalm 44? No, I got 106, but go ahead. You good. You didn't take it this time.
Oh, good, I'm so sorry. 9 through 26, if you don't mind.
Psalm 44, 9 through 26?
That's a good one.
Yeah. I had a good one right there. Okay. So you have rejected us and put us to shame. And you do not go with our armies. You make us turn back from the adversary, and those who hate us have plundered us. You do give us as sheep to be eaten, and you have scattered us amongst the nations. You sell your people for no value and have set no high price on them. You make us a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a mockery to those about us. And you make a proverb amongst the nations, a shaking of the head amongst the people. Come on, y'all. Y'all know y'all seen that before.
Yeah.
You know you see,
Yep.
you know you see people look at us and go, that's a shame. Acting like that. A shaking of the head amongst the peoples. My reproach is always before me, and the shame of my face has covered me. Because of the voice of the slanderer and blasphemer, because of the enemy and the avenger. All this has come upon us, but we have not forgotten you. Neither have we been false to your covenant. Our heart has not turned back, neither has our steps swerved from your way. Well, I can't say that that's us today. Yet you have crushed us in the place of jackals and covered us with the shadows of death. And if we have forgotten the name of our Elohim, or stretched out our hands to a foreign mighty one, would Elohim not search this out? That's what we've done. But for your sake, we are killed all day long, reckoned as sheep for, think about that over the last week. Yet for your sake, we are killed all day long. Don't you think that y'all don't have a hand in what is going on today with our people? He's trying to awaken us. And it's only going to get worse. Satan has caused us to think that now we're in the good times. We have wealth. We got nice houses, nice cars, good jobs. Hey, man, my refrigerator's full today. And little do we know it's going to be taken. Verse 23, awake. Why do you sleep, Yahuwah? Arise. Do not reject us forever. Why do you hide your face, ignoring our affliction and our oppression? For our being is bowed down to the dust. See, that's where we're supposed to be. Our being is bowed down to the dust. Our body cleaves the earth. Arise, be our help, and redeem us from your loving commitment's sake. Awesome, baby. Awesome. I got it all marked up right there. I got it circled. I'm telling you, boy, there's more stuff in this book.
Yep.
How come we ain't read that in church? Right. Pastor, who are you talking to? I mean, who this right here? We don't ask them questions. Why? Because we don't read verses like that. Why? Because there's no explanation for it. And if there is an explanation for it, oh, he was just talking to Israel back then. Boy, if that don't fit today, man, that's a today word. Good job, sweetie. I don't even have to touch on that no more. So what is it about us? Let me, can I pick your brains for a little bit? Can I pick y'all brain? I want to ask some questions. What is it about us? Why us? We are inventors? Come on now. American folk, you know most of this stuff that was invented over here was invented by us.
Yeah. We made the potato chip.
Go ahead, honey. We did what?
We invented the potato chip.
We even invented, my daughter just said, we even invented the dad blasted potato chip. Boy. Hey, them stoplights you look at every day? Come on now. Hold on. That computer that you looking at?
Video games.
That the whole world uses today. Where do you think that came from? That came from us. Yeah. And I'm sorry to say, that light bulb that you turn on, I know they give some other man credit for it, but that didn't come from him. Them blueprints was, yeah, them was hijacked. No, because if the slave created it, it's mine. If I own the slave and he creates it, then it's mine. I get to take credit for it. Why? Because he is nothing. I'm everything, because I'm his owner.
Not only that, but we were always trying to figure out ways to make it easier.
Yeah, exactly.
for us
Come on.
to do it.
Cotton gin? I mean, come on, y'all. We invented a whole lot of stuff, but yet we still the low. We still talk down to, look down at. Shoot, 50 years old, go to work, and still some 20-year-old kid comes in and it's, shut up. I mean, we dominate sports. I mean, don't nobody make more money in sports than us. I mean, we make the game good. Don't hate the player, hate the game. I mean, look at us. You go look at any basketball team, darn it, primarily, a lot of them are all us. I mean, we're making a lot of people some money, but us.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, come. Let me keep going. Daggone, we got shoes named after us. All the tennis shoes that are being produced, Nike Air Jordan, some of the most famous shoes, that's illustrated of a black man, isn't it? But yet we own nothing. What is it about us? Why do we cause so much, I don't even know the word. Why is it that we make so many things, but we don't get the benefit of it as a people? How about this? Some of the smartest people when we're allowed to excel. Yeah. You give us some scholarships. You let us be able to go to college. We become doctors and lawyers. We do those things too. Matter of fact, what was the last movie? What was about the women who helped with the rocket? Hidden Figures? I mean, look at them women. You wouldn't even have gotten that Apollo ship back if it wasn't for some of our females that was there doing the math. But we ain't nothing. Look at them people. What's wrong with them? Oh, they're cursed of Ham. No, we ain't. We cursed of Yah because we didn't obey. Let's keep going. What about our music? I mean, come on. Let's start off with we make it, they take it.
Right.
You think Elvis Presley wrote most of them songs? You think he got out there and did his boogalooing? You know where he got them steps from?
Forrest Gump.
No, some of them moves he had, there was videos of brothers doing them same moves before him. But he does it and all shook up.
Yeah, what?
He was biting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at our music. Man, I'll be sitting in town. This is no joke. And here it comes. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Yakety, black, black, yakety, 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 yakety. In this, in that. I'm like, who in the world is this brother driving up here with this music like that? Boom, uh-oh. That's them.
Right.
It ain't even our people playing that music.
Right.
So they take our music and they love it. And then they exploit us with our own music.
Yep.
They'll go out here and take a perfectly good young man because he's got some talent. They'll bring him into the music industry and ruin him. But they'll make a whole lot of money off of ruining him. Look at us, y'all. We're peculiar people. We're just peculiar for the wrong reason.
That's right.
Even the way we wear clothes. Oh, my gosh. I mean, we can take a hat and turn that joker upside down and flip it inside out, and everybody going to start wearing their hat like that. That ain't going to make sense. We can start wearing jeans backwards, and everybody's doing it now. What is it about black people that has to be copied? What is it about us who are nobody that the world seems to love what they do and what they were, but they don't want to be like them? Pants hang down behind your butt. I saw a brother the other day. I want to say, brother, have my daughter, my wife been out and been like, brother, don't nobody want to see your crack, your sweaty crack with in your underwear, showing it to my family. Hallelujah, my daughters or my wife wasn't there because I sure was going to say it. And then man got me into some trouble, right? At some point, the gray hair has to stand up and teach these young men how they're supposed to be. At some point, we got to do that. Why are a people to be intimidated when it comes to worldly things? They are intimidated by us. Police officers say that they are scared of us. What is it about us that causes fright in them? So why are we at the bottom of the pole in society if so many people have robbed things from us? Don't say because they do that to us. No, it's because Yah is not allowing it to happen to us. He's allowing them to steal what we do. Why? Because we will not turn back to him. And we will never be at the top of the people. We will never be at the top of the nations as long as we keep doing what we're doing and we don't turn back to him. We will stay right where we are. Your grandchildren are going to stay where they're at. And your grandchildren's grandchildren, they're going to stay where we at today. Ain't nothing going to change. They can amalgamate and say everybody's won all they want. But you know who's going to always be at the bottom. It's going to be us. Just because you got a dark-skinned president up in there, ain't nothing changed. We still getting shot. Deuteronomy chapter 10 and verse 15. Deuteronomy chapter 10 and verse 15. Anybody want to read that?
Only Yahuwah had a delight in thy father to love them, and he chose their seed after them, even above all people, as it is this day.
Yah chose us above all the people of the earth. As I've already said, we were supposed to be on cloud nine, y'all, as a people. We were supposed to have it all. Ruling nations and countries. Setting up structure for the Most High. Showing people how to worship Yah. Showing people how to come before Yah. And today, we're showing people how to worship Satan. You look at some of our sisters, the clothing that they wear, their butts hanging out. We leading people straight to hell. You look at some of our brothers, what we out there doing today. We putting these women up in front, making money off of them. No, actually, it ain't us making money off of them. It's the industry making money off of our women. Putting them up, and we are leading our young folk who are just now being able to come out of the house, and they start to see all this stuff. And what happens? We lead them straight to hell. We were supposed to be on top, but we've been put on the bottom. And nobody's asking why. Why? Several years ago, somebody was shot. I don't know what his name was. It was a rapper. And they were interviewing him and his wife. And his wife said, why does this keep happening to us? Is God mad at us? And I wish I could have called her on the phone and said, yes, he's mad at us. That's the reason why it's happening. He's trying to wake us up. People are noticing there is something about black folk. Something about them. Chapter 14, verse 2, Deuteronomy. 1 and 2. You are the children of Yahuwah, your Elohim. Do not cut yourselves, nor shave the front of your head for the dead. For you are a set-apart people to your Elohim, and Yahuwah has chosen you to be a people for himself, a treasured possession above all peoples who are on the face of the earth. That was us. That was our forefathers, and they let it go. Man, and now we in this hell here in this country. Y'all, he put us away. He literally, like a divorced wife, he put us away. Well, Yoshai, you need to prove what you're saying. Okay, Isaiah 50, chapter 1. Isaiah chapter 50, verse 1. Whoever gets there, you can read it.
Thus says Yah, where is the certificate of your mother's divorce, whom I have put away? Or which of my creditors is it to whom I have sold you? Look, you were sold for your errors, and your mother was put away for her sins.
He's divorced our people because we was unwilling to be a good wife. Because we chose to be adulterous, he has put us away. He didn't just send us back to our father's house. No, he put us far away. At least, according to the law, if you divorce a young lady and give her a paper, she at least gets to go back to her father's house. We didn't even get to do that. We got sent around the world. We didn't even see our father's land. We didn't get to return to it. Jeremiah 3, 6 through 10. Jeremiah chapter 3, 6 through 10. I'm about to blow a vein up here. I feel it in my head. I feel the pressure. Oh, I'm good.
6 through 10.
Jeremiah 3, 6 through 10, if anybody want to read it. Okay. And yet for all this, her treacherous sister Yehuda has turned to me with all her heart, but falsely, declares Yahuwah. Oh, see, you can act like you know who you are as a people. You can act like it, but falsely. And Yahuwah said to me, backsliding Israel has shown herself more righteous than treacherous Yehuda. Go and proclaim these words towards the north and say, return, O backsliding Israel, declares Yahuwah. I shall not look on you in displeasure, for I am lovingly committed, declares Yahuwah, and I do not bear a grudge forever. Only acknowledge your crookedness, because you have transgressed against Yahuwah your Elohim, and have scattered your ways to strangers. Under every green tree you have not obeyed my voice, declares Yahuwah. Return, O backsliding children, declares Yahuwah, for I shall rule over you and shall take you, one from a city and two from a clan, and shall bring you to Zion. Ezekiel chapter 16. Told y'all we're going to be going through a whole lot of scripture. Ezekiel chapter 16. We're going to look at verse 32 through 34. If you got it, read it.
Wife that committed adultery, which taketh strangers instead of her husband. They give gifts to all whores, but thou givest thy gifts to all thy lovers, and harass them that they may come unto thee on every side for thy whoredom. And the contrary is in thee from other women in thy whoredoms, whereas none followeth thee to commit whoredoms, and in that thou givest a reward and no reward is given unto thee. Therefore thou art contrary.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine as the Bible say, a whore on the street? She gonna pay you to come lay with her. Not you gonna pay her. She gonna pay you to come lay with her. He says you different. And that's basically what we've done. We went out and paid people to come. We have dishonored our maker and went after other makers. Hey, you want to know why Yah's hot with us? He got a fierce anger towards us. He puts his judgments on us week after week, day after day. I'm not talking individually. I'm not talking to those of us who are turning back to him, those of us who are learning what he instructs for us to do. I'm not talking about us as individuals. I'm talking about us as a nation of people. Because when they see everybody out looting and burning down buildings, they don't just look at them, they look at us. And why your people, when they get all mad, why they burn stuff down? Why is it that when they riot, why do they burn their own stuff down? And I want to say, why is it that when your people riot, they do the same thing? But what's different about us? Okay, let's get ready to wrap it up. How do we as a people get back to him? How do we as a people get back to him? First, we have to believe in Messiah.
Yes.
That's number one. That was the last straw that got us kicked out. So the first thing we have to do is turn back to his Messiah that was for us. So if the last straw was broken, that's the first straw that's got to be put back. We have to put our trust and our belief in Messiah. For when we do that, we put our trust and our belief in Yah. First step. If we can't get that right, we won't get none of it right. First, believe upon Messiah for us. Our Messiah that was sent for the lost sheep of Israel. Hey, that's not my words. Matthew chapter 15 and verse 24. I was sent except for the lost sheep of Israel. That's his words. He never said he was sent for anybody else. Of course, we know the Gentiles were able to come in. But when he was here walking on the earth, his whole thing was, go find the lost sheep. Go find the lost sheep. That was his concern. So, as a people, what should our concern be? Go find the lost sheep. The engrafted are going to come regardless. They're going to see Yah working in our life. We got to go find the lost sheep. Why? Because that's the example that Messiah gave. I can go stand before Yah on the day of judgment. And he says, why was you only looking for the lost sheep? Master, because that's what Messiah did when he was here. I mean, he knew the Gentiles was going to come in. I never heard him. I only heard him talk about the lost sheep. That's my people. We're the ones who walked away, so I felt like I had to go and find my people so that we can turn back and worship you. That's our thinking. Our thinking has to be that. I went to Gentile churches. I don't recall that ever being the goal of that church. When they wanted to get notoriety about feeding the poor, yeah, they would go into communities. But I never heard talking about, hey, y'all, we have got to go find the lost sheep of the house of Israel. It's important to Yah. That's who he's coming back for, and we're going to tag along with him. I ain't never heard that before in my life in the church. Today, church is about, we're going to make it to heaven. We're going to get caught up in the rapture. And so there we're going to be with him forevermore. It's all about them. So then when you start talking about, but what about the book of Revelation? Oh, that's for y'all that's left behind. Oh, so you just out of here. You get to miss the tribulation, huh? That just goes to show you what that false belief teaches. They want to miss everything. We got to go through it all. Telling y'all, it's wickedness. It's wickedness. There ain't no other way to look at it. So let's go ahead and finish up. Deuteronomy chapter 30, 1 through 10. We want to know how do we get back to that place of the Most High? How do we get him to turn his back away from us and put his face towards us? It's very simple. It doesn't require the rocket scientists of our people to come and teach us this. He tells us very simply what we have to do. So we see our sin got us kicked out. We see that we are cursed people sent out to the world. Now we're out living in the world. We see what's going on and taking place against our people. We see how our people are acting towards their own brother. What do we have to do to get right with him? Man, what do we got to do to get right with him, Yoshia? What is it? And when some of you call me and you ask me, what do we need to do? And I give you this scripture. It ain't me. It's Yah talking to you. But when you're given this scripture on what you're supposed to do, you know where to be seen. It's like you got your information. And that's all it was to you, a piece of information. You ain't doing nothing else with it. We got to do more than that. We can't just get the information and tuck it in our head and go on about our life and still do the whoring that we was doing before we talked. There's got to be a change that you got to start doing in your life. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1 through 10.
And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, that thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether Yahuwah the Elohim hath driven thee.
Oh, hold on. So we already have had the blessings and the curses spoken to us. So clearly we have chosen the curses and we don't have the blessings as a nation of people. Clearly, that's where we are. Go ahead, Ak.
Verse 2. And shalt return unto Yahuwah the Elohim, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then the Most High the Elohim will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whether Yahuwah the Elohim hath scattered thee.
Okay, hold on. And shall turn back to Yahuwah your Elohim and obey his voice. Not the church's voice, not the pastor's voice. You shall obey his voice. If your pastor tells you that you don't have to worship on the Sabbath anymore, and the Sunday is a day that we worship on, you run. Because that is not Elohim's voice. If it is, you ask for the scripture, and you ask him to read that scripture to you, and so that you can see his voice telling you to meet on the first day of the week and not the seventh day of the week. It's his voice you listen to, not no organization, not no man who calls himself a pastor, but yet is teaching you a Gentile doctrine. That ain't Yah's voice. Verse 3 that he just read, then Yahuwah your Elohim shall turn back your captivity. Some of y'all, you got to first believe that you in captivity. Your problem is you don't think you in captivity. you don't think you need to be delivered. That's what our problem is, really. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. We don't think we need a Savior. We think our Savior is going to church and saying, oh, forgive me of my sins. We need a Savior. Have you not looked at the news? Have you not seen our families being destroyed? Have you not seen the sickness that has been declared upon us from Deuteronomy 28 that is on our people? Go to the kidney dialysis places and watch how many of us come in. We are in a captivity. We are being held captive to eat the food that they make for us to eat. That's captivity. When you go fill out a mortgage, a death contract on a house, you're put in captivity. When we go buy a brand new car, we are put in captivity. Trust me, I'm in one. Dad blasted. Oh, the other chain is up here. Boom. It's here. I make $40,000 a year. I'm going to go out and buy a $70,000 vehicle. It makes no sense. And I'm going to pay for my $100,000 house. It don't make no sense. That's captivity of the mind. Any wise person will tell you, hey, hold on to what you got. Fix what you got. Don't go buy nothing new. But what do? We listen to people. You should get something new rather than something old. You should get rid of that old and get something new. You break down just as many times. Boy, yeah, but you ain't got no payment like I got, though. Right. Now, I done listen. I done went and got it. You ain't got no payment like me. Yeah, that old truck was causing me some problems, but daggone. This new truck causing me a whole new different set of problems. The things that we do in captivity. Wake up, people. You are captive. You can't leave. And I give thanks for the ones who find their way out of this place. You have something, sweetie?
Oh, I was just thinking.
I didn't know whether you were scratching your head or.
I was thinking both. But I was thinking when you're in captivity that you have no freedom.
None.
Like, that is what captivity is. Even for an animal in captivity, they are not free to be in their original
state. Exactly right. Are we in our original state according to the scripture? Then we in captivity. It's that simple. That simple. I'm sorry, y'all. Go ahead. You knew it was going to happen if you started reading on this one for real.
Verse 4. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Most High, the Elohim, gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And Yahuwah, the Elohim, will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. And the Most High, the Elohim, will circumcise thine heart, and the heart of thy seed, to love Yah, the Elohim, with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And Yahuwah, the Elohim, will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yah, and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day.
That's good right there. Listen. You have to believe and you have to know that the enemy is at work. You have to believe and you have to know that the people who are on top, the people who are really on top, they know who you are. Right. You don't know who you are, but they know who you are. And so therefore, what do? They put you in harsh bondage. Because see, they know that if you turn back to your mighty one, in verse 7, and Yahuwah, your Elohim, shall put all these curses on your enemies and on those who hate you, your cousins, your aunts, and your uncles, all those people who took them into slavery and beat them and raped their wives, and the men, yes, you're correct, and the men, he's going to put all of that back on them. So why do you think they want you to stay where you at? Go ahead, Brother Eugene.
No, I was just going to say, and that's why they set things in place, to keep that going,
Yeah.
They got people that look like us.
Yep.
And they set them in place to tell us what they want us to know. And the things that they don't want us to know, they better not talk about it.
They'll put it in a book and make the book cost $5,000.
Right.
Yep, facts.
But that's why they have the 501c3s and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Because
yeah.
there's
Control.
certain things that you're not supposed to talk about. You're not supposed to speak about.
Yeah.
And that's not just because.
Yeah, that's real talk. That's real talk. I want to read something. I posted this up on my Facebook page. I'm going to read only a part of this, just one little paragraph. This is from a pastor in North Carolina, and he's talking about the churches. He says, people are still seeking the holy, and the Holy One is still seeking people. So the problem isn't with those outside the church, and it certainly isn't with God. The problem, and it is a problem, is with us. This is the Euro-Gentile church. The problem is that most of the church in America looks more like America than the body of Christ. The church makes the news for all the wrong reasons. Seminary leaders who passionately denounce critical race theory. See, that's when you get into about who the people are. Mm-hmm. Critical race theory. Hey, ain't nobody started race. Bible's got race in it. But are silent about the white supremacy that forms their curriculum and institutions. Pastors who care more about not being called racist than learning how to meaningfully participate in racial conciliation. Christians who care more about defending their right to buy a weapon than advocating to end police brutality. Now let me go back to what he really said that got me. The church makes the news for all the wrong reasons. Seminary leaders passionately denounce critical race theory, but are silent about the white supremacy that forms the curriculum in institutions. That's exactly how we got to where we are today. White supremacy theology, where it's all about them and you take your eyes off of Israel. Because if you put your eyes on Israel, you got to go back to who Israel is, the people of Israel. Oh, we got to go get them, y'all. We got to turn them back. See, if that was your real concern, Mr. Euro-Gentile, you'd be concerned about trying to go and gather us and tell us, hey, y'all, listen, there's a couple out there doing it. Now, let me say this. Not all of them. There are a couple who are out there trying to awaken who the true Israel is. And they catching some great heat. Hey, even during slavery, they had the Underground Railroad and the Gentiles was helping. And it's going to be today. There are people who are even denouncing their own heritage to connect themselves with who they see the Bible as Israel. It's happening today. Anybody got anything before I go on? You itching? I was just itching to say something. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 11 through 25. We're going to hurry up. It's my fault. Jeremiah 3, 11 through 25.
Good stuff.
Chapter 3, verse 11 through 25. I'm there. And Yahuwah said to me, backsliding Israel has shown herself more righteous. I've already read that, haven't I? More righteous and treacherous. I've already read that. Let's go to the next one. I read 11. Did I read all that? No, I sure wasn't. We're going to read this one because this is some good stuff. And Yahuwah said to me, backsliding Israel has shown herself more righteous and treacherous than Yehuda. Go and proclaim these words towards the north and say, return, O backsliding Israel. See, this is prophecy right here. It's talking. Declares Yahuwah, I shall not look on you in displeasure, for I am lovingly committed, declares Yahuwah, and I do not bear a grudge forever. Only acknowledge your crookedness. And ain't that what Deuteronomy chapter 30, 1 through 10 was saying? Only acknowledge your crookedness, because you have transgressed against Yahuwah your Elohim, and have scattered your ways to strangers. Did you hear that? And have scattered your ways to strangers. Were we not talking about the things that we do, we find everybody else doing? Under every green tree, and you have not obeyed my voice, declares Yahuwah. Return, O backsliding children, declares Yahuwah, for I shall rule over you, and shall take you, one from a city and two from a clan, and shall bring you to Zion, and I shall give you shepherds according to my heart. Because we ain't got none right now. We ain't got no shepherds right now. They all serving Satan in their own greed. And it shall be when you have increased and shall be fruitful in the land in those days, declares Yahuwah, that they no longer say the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah, neither would it come to heart, nor will they remember it, nor will they visit it, nor would it be made again. And at that time, Yerushalayim, or Jerusalem, shall be called the throne of Yahuwah. I ain't never heard that preached in church in my life. Jerusalem is never brought up in church. Not in the churches that I went to. That's like that was some separate thing back over there just for Israel. But it's funny, he's going to come back and reign from that place. At that time, Jerusalem shall be called the throne of Yahuwah, and all the nations shall be gathered to it, to the name of Yahuwah, to Yerushalayim, or Jerusalem, and no longer walk after the stubbornness of their evil heart. In those days, the house of Yehuda shall go to the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north, and to the land that I have given as an inheritance to your fathers. But I said, how would I put you amongst the children and give you a pleasant land, a splendid inheritance of the host of nations? And I said, call me my father, and do not turn away from me. But indeed, as a wife betrays her husband, so have you betrayed me, O house of Israel, declares Yahuwah. We betraying him right now by listening to this teachings that has been given to us, that has caused us to look at another. Verse 21, a voice has heard on the bare heights, weeping supplications of the children of Israel, because they have perverted their way. They have forgotten Yahuwah their Elohim. Return, O backsliding children. I shall make your backsliding cease. See, we have come to you, for you are Yahuwah our Elohim. Truly delusion comes from the high hills and the noisy throng on the mountains. Truly in Yahuwah our Elohim is the deliverance of Israel. So Master Yahuwah is our deliverance. He's our deliverance. Ezekiel chapter 37. Got to read it. You see, this is another one of those that they don't want to read in the Eurocentric Gentile teaching churches, because they don't have an answer for Ezekiel chapter 37. Because Ezekiel chapter 37 is going to tell you that the nation of Israel is going to be awoken again and brought back to life. What does the church do with that doctrine? Nothing. So they stay away from it. Okay. Who wants to read 37? Let's start at the beginning.
Okay. The hand of Yahuwah was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of Yahuwah and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry.
Okay, who's these bones? Just for clarification for those who may not know. Whose bones is this laying in the valley? The children of Israel. Dry bones laying in the valley, dead. Go ahead, Art.
Verse 3. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Yahuwah Elohim, thou knowest. Again he said unto me, Prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of Yahuwah. Thus said Yahuwah Elohim unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live. And ye shall know that I am Yahuwah. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. Then said he unto me, Prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, Thus said Yahuwah Elohim, Come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived, and stood upon their feet, an exceeding great army. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, Our bones are dried, and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, Thus said Yahuwah Elohim, Behold, O my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves, and bring you into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am Yahweh when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves, and shall put my spirit in you, and ye shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. Then shall you know that thy Elohim have spoken it and performed it, said Yahuwah.
Hey, let's not be confused. Now, there is a people over there today, they don't call themselves Israelites, they call themselves Israelis. But he said when he brings them back into the land, I shall put my spirit in you, and you shall live, and I shall settle you in your own land, and you shall know that I, Yahuwah, have spoken, and I've done it, declares Yahuwah. Now, how is it that if they are the people and Yah has put them back in their land, how do they have the biggest homosexual parades on the face of the earth? If Yah's spirit is in them, that stuff ain't happening. If Yah's spirit is in them, how are they more racist today than they've ever been? I've been there. I've seen their racism. The people who were over there today, the Ethiopians, the real Hebrews, they want to exterminate them people. They want to kick them out. They mistreat them. Matter of fact, when they see us over here having our things out in the street, they start having them over there. Because they're getting mistreated And actually, man, they look just like us over there. They got baseball caps on and blue jeans. And I'm like, this is in the land of Israel. These are Ethiopian Hebrews over there. Anyway, just had to clarify and make sure we talk about the right Israel. Because apparently, if you look at what's going on, this ain't the same Israel that the Bible's talking about. Okay, so let's make sure we get that correct. Go ahead, brother, verse 15.
The word of Yahuwah came again unto me, saying, Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick, write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, Wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? Say unto them, Thus said the Most High Elohim, Behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand.
Hey, children, y'all remember this morning y'all were asking me, why does he have two sticks in his hand? Remember that? Well, he's explaining it right here, because he's going to take those two sticks and make them one big stick. All right? So that's the answer to your question. It's two sticks that he's got, that he's holding up, and then he's going to bring them together, and they're going to make one stick. One stick for the house of Israel, another stick for the house of Yehuda. You understand that? Okay. Sorry, brother. Just popped in my mind.
Verse 20. And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes. And say unto them, Thus saith the Most High Elohim, Behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and there shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their Elohim. And David, my servant, shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments, and observe my statutes, and do them. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt. And they shall dwell therein, even they, and their children, and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them. And I will place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore. My tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And the heathen shall know that I, the Most High, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore.
Just that one chapter right there tells the whole story of the Bible. That one chapter right there that is forsaken in the Christian church will tell the whole story. Man, I can't go no more. I gotta stop. I'm gonna have to finish next week. I tried. I just got too many scriptures. That one chapter. Just, how do you argue against that? How do you say that Yah's done away with his people from that one chapter? I'm going to ask every pastor I know, can you explain that to me? I'm going to send can you explain Ezekiel chapter 37 to me from the Christian perspective? And I think all of you all who are listening should do the same thing. If you are a part of a Eurocentric way of thinking congregation, ask your pastor about Ezekiel chapter 30. It's so good, I gotta stop right there. I don't want to lose the effect of that. I'm gonna shut up. I praise the Most High and I thank him that he is showing us a way of deliverance. Now, for those of us who have gotten it, that's awesome. But the majority of our people, either they don't want to hear it or we got to go get them. There are some, listen, I've been in church all my life and I have preached. And if I had read that right there, I would have been thrown in utter confusion. When I was a preacher in a Gentile church, had somebody shown that to me, it would have jacked me up. I wouldn't know how to answer it. Man, it seems right here that he's going to come back and get, well, what are we doing? I mean, if he's coming back for them and he's going to take them back, well, shouldn't we be like trying to get with them and so we can go back with them? There's no answer for that. So, brothers and sisters, we will continue this until next week. I hope that, I know for many of you all who already know this, I hope it was a re-stirring of your soul. I hope you understand that we have a lot of work to do. We're going to have to teach our people and tell our people what they have done, how they have to repent, and what they must do in order to repent. Don't have to go no further. Shalom, shalom. Let's pray. I'm sorry it took so long, but it's the word. Master Yahuwah, our Almighty Father, our great Creator, the one who sent us the seed around the world. Father, we come before you realizing what our forefather has done, and we pray for the forgiveness of his sin like you asked us to. Forgive our fathers for not being obedient to you. Forgive our fathers for not keeping Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 through 15. Forgive them, Father, for causing you to turn your back on them, which in turn caused your back to be turned against us. Father, since we are the seed of our fathers, and now we're in this land that you have sent us to, doesn't matter whether we're in America, South America, Haiti, Brazil, China, Russia, it don't matter where we've been slung to. Father, we are praying that you will begin to call us back to you and to call us home. For those of us who are awakened and are in the know, I pray that you would put a fire in us like you put in Jeremiah's bones, where he cannot be still, he couldn't be still. And I pray, Master, that even with us today, you put a fire shut up in our bones where we can't help but talk about you and what you are going to do for your people. Father, let us be a light to our people. Father, let us get on the street, inspire all of us to come up with some kind of way to get on the street to contact our people. I don't care if we got to do like they used to do a long time ago and put pamphlets up under people's windshield wipers. We got to do something to get our people to awaken. And I know that you're already working inside of them. I know you're stirring something up. You're just waiting for us to talk to them. We know many people, Father, who have gotten the truth from reading your word. And we know many people who have gotten the truth because someone bought it to them. So, Master, we want to do our job. I pray that you would put us in a place, Father, where we could go out and be a light to our people. Not a problem. I don't want to be a problem. I know I'm emotional, Master, and maybe I don't say things and it don't come out the right way sometimes. But, Father, we got a people that's lost that we got to touch. We got a people that we have got to help out of a hole and help them to understand why we're in a hole. We have a people that we have to show what repentance really is. And I pray, Master, that you would help us to do just that you would teach us and show us your ways so that we can bring people back into the fold, Master. I pray that we repent on behalf of our forefathers and our own sin, that we repent and do what is right before you so that, Master, you will turn your face to us and take us back to our own land and release us from this captivity. I ask this, Master, in your Son, our Messiah, Yahushua's name we pray. So be it. Hallelujah. 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 Thank you all for joining us. We will meet again next week. I'll have to make this another part, but as you see, we got work to do. Just because you sit behind a computer don't mean that you don't have work to do. Just because you sit at home on your couch and watch this service don't mean that you don't have a responsibility to go out and seek and save the lost. And I know many of you all are doing it. I see your efforts. I see your hard work. Just keep it up. And let's continue to awaken our people. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.